Okay, there we go. Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, good afternoon. This is a reminder that this is an official meeting of the City of El Paso's Historic Landmark Commission. We ask and expect that all attendees are courteous and respectful to each other to ensure a professional meeting. An excessive display of uncivil behavior or being disruptive may require for an individual to be removed from the meeting. And from Chapter 20.20, it states, when City Council has adopted architectural and design guidelines for a particular district, those guidelines shall control, provided they are not in conflict with other requirements of the City Code, except that the HLC may approve exceptions to the guidelines in an effort to maintain the historic integrity of an H overlay property, in which case the exception shall control in that particular case. So.
Thank you, Provi. Do we have any public comment before we get started? No? All right, on to the regular agenda. It looks like item number 1 has been withdrawn.
That's correct. We got an email after the last meeting saying they were going to withdraw it. We don't know if they're going to be coming back or not, but we'll keep an eye on it.
All right, well, then item number 2, which is 4410 Leeds Avenue.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Item number 1 is for a certificate of appropriateness for the installation of new windows. This is for the property on 4410 Leeds, located in the Austin Terrace Historic District, zoned R4H, built in 1951, and it is a non-contributing building. So this property is at the northernmost edge of the district. As you know, these houses came a little later than many of the other homes in Austin Terrace. So the applicant came to us wanting to replace their windows. These are the photos that we have in our file, taken in about 2002. And this is what the property looks like now. So as you can tell, it's been well maintained. The landscaping is in excellent shape. And they came to us because they wanted to replace well, pretty much all of their windows. What they are proposing, they're proposing to match the grid pattern. However, the operation in many of the windows is what they are proposing to change. So an example which you'll see, these casement windows, they would like to follow this same pattern. However, where the casements are, they're proposing horizontal sliders. Now, typically in historic districts, we don't recommend horizontal sliders. This is a picture window. The picture window has been there for some time. In fact, I think it's visible here on the photos that we have. So this is another one where in this particular case, they're proposing a 4/4 single hung or double hung in lieu of the casements. So again, they are trying to follow the grid patterns. However, the operation is what will change, and as per our guidelines, and per the Secretary of Interior standards, you have to maintain the operation along with the look. So this is what they're proposing to use as far as muntins. They are exterior applied. It's a kit that they provided us with the specs for. And these are the windows that they're proposing. So as you can see, window number 1, where the casements were, they're proposing horizontal sliders. So we did go through each window. They are matching the grid pattern. However, we could not approve this administratively. They are also proposing to change out 2 sliding doors. We have no issue with that. So a lot of the windows are not visible from the public right-of-way, as you can tell from the vegetation. Of course, we don't necessarily include vegetation as a method to obscure, but in this case, this is why we're here today. These are the neighboring properties. So this house is very well maintained, and they are proposing these changes, to which we are proposing approval with modifications based on the following. Based on the design guidelines for El Paso's historic districts, doors and windows are considered important character-defining features because of significant detailing. When windows are involved in the construction process, it is recommended to repair rather than replace. In many cases, this will entail only replacing of a broken sash cord, new weather stripping, removing old paint, and repainting. Retain and preserve the pattern, arrangement, and dimensions of door and window openings on principal elevations. Often the placement of doors and windows is an indicator of a particular architectural style, and therefore contributes to the building's significance. Doors and windows for new construction and additions should be compatible in proportion, location, shape, pattern, size, and details to existing units. Retain and preserve original doors and windows, including such elements as sash, glass, sills, lintels, casings, muntin, trim, frames, thresholds, hardware, and shutters. If repair of an original window or door element is necessary, repair only the deteriorated element to match the original in size, composition, material, dimension, and detail by patching, splicing, consolidating, or otherwise reinforcing the deteriorated section. The removal of historic materials should be avoided. When repair is not feasible, the door and window products will be reviewed on an individual basis using the following criteria: architectural and historical compatibility, comparison to original profile, level of significance of original doors and windows to the architectural style of the building, three-dimensional exterior applied muntins that simulate or match the original muntins may be approved. Single-dimension interior applied muntins are not appropriate. And from the Secretary of Interior Standards for Rehabilitation, the historic character of a property shall be retained and preserved. The removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces that characterize a property shall be avoided. New additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction will not destroy historic materials, features, and spatial relationships that characterize the property. The new work will be differentiated from the old and will be compatible with the historic materials, features, size, scale, and proportion, and massing to protect the integrity of the property and its environment. And the modification is that the new windows match the existing or historic windows.
All right, thank you, Mo. Does anyone have any questions for Mo? Sure.
So, Mo, can you say a little bit more about the staff's recommended modification? So they're proposing to match the windows with the exterior muntins, right? So
Yes.
does this meet staff's recommendation?
No, because our recommendation, of course, is that they operate in the same manner. In this case, since they're changing casements to horizontal sliders, that's why we're here.
Where
Thank you.
exactly is that stated that operation needs to be similar?
I'm sorry?
Where is it stated that operation needs to be similar?
Well, the Secretary of Interior Standards do mention that they should operate, that basically any architectural element should operate as the original. And pretty sure the guidelines also make mention of that.
I just don't see it here.
Is it just one window in question?
No, it's...
How many?
Let me see. It's pretty much all except for the ones that say skip up on top.
All of those numbered are horizontal sliders?
Some of them are double hung. So for example, let's say number 8, 2 casement windows. So if we go to window 8, you'll see that the grid pattern is is the same, however, the operation. So instead of having the 2 casements, they're proposing the double hung with the muntins sort of following the pattern.
But it looks the same?
It does,
Okay,
yes.
all right. Do we have any representatives?
Yes, the property owner is here,
Okay.
Ms. Martha Jordan. If you would step up, please introduce yourself.
My name is Martha Jordan, and I live on this property.
Okay. So you're proposing to make them look the same, essentially, but they
Yes,
might
almost the
operate?
same. Yeah, just because my windows are very broken, and I get all the dust, and then I have the heater on, and it just goes, it's out.
Yeah,
Because the windows are broken, and the white lining, it's no good anymore.
okay. Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Jordan?
Yes. Did you ask Window World about if they can do casement windows?
Did I what?
Ask Window World?
Yes, I asked, yeah, I went there and I told them that they could fix my windows. And this was about 2 years ago.
Right, but particular casement windows
Well,
rather than double hung?
yes, I asked them, he told me, Steve, I just remember his first name, he told me, well, you only have 2 options. It's either this kind or this kind. And I chose from those 2. And then I thought they were going to put them there, because I did this in October, and then they were supposed to put my windows in March. So I go, and then they didn't allow me to have those windows. And I asked them, why not? You know, it's just, they're very simple. They're not that fancy. Yes.
Sorry, you're referring to the casement windows?
Mhm.
That they were not able?
They couldn't do it because they didn't let them, I don't remember her last name, Provenci, something like that, Provencia?
That's me, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Providencia
Yeah,
Velasquez.
Providencia
Yeah, that's
Velasquez,
me.
well, okay. So, I called her, but I guess I had to come here. And that's why it took so long, because I also waited, you know, I waited for them to call me, but they didn't call me, so that's why it's been so long.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm answering your question.
No, I'm referring about, so we're talking about a double hung window which slides up or down in this case.
You mean the big window?
Correct.
Yeah, he proposed, he was the one that proposed, halfway, you know, that the one window opens over here and the other window opens over here, because the window is very big, large.
How did it open?
They were supposed to slide,
Right.
because I told them, you know, sometimes I need to bring a refrigerator, or I buy a new refrigerator. I can't bring it to the house because the doors are very old. They're very narrow. So he told me, well, you're not going to worry about that anymore, because we're going to do that big window. We're going to slide it, and then you can put in the refrigerator, and then we'll slide. I don't know. That's what he told me.
Oh, wow.
But if, you know, I guess if that big window can't be, I guess they can just put another one just like the way it is.
Have you asked if they can do it?
No, I haven't asked. But I can ask him. I can call Steve and ask him if he can put the same window. It's just that, you know, it's broken. It's all that white part, it's broken. It's about to fall.
Understood.
Yeah, so I don't, if I may, I don't think we don't have any issue with you repairing, right? Or
Okay.
like wanting to update your windows. What we're concerned with is preserving the historic
Yes.
aesthetic of the property.
Mhm.
And so I think it may be good to go back to your contractor, your vendor, and ask them if they can give you updated windows that are the same as what is historically appropriate to the property.
Mhm.
And I think that we have enough time on this one, right, Rovi? This one doesn't go till the end of July.
That's correct.
So would it be okay to table this one to give the applicant an opportunity to speak with her vendor and see
Okay.
if a more historical match is appropriate?
Mhm. Okay, yeah, that sounds good. I don't mind, I just want new windows.
Sure,
That's all.
sure,
I don't
sure.
care how they look. Okay,
I would also ask if you can ask for the cost comparison between the slide and the casement.
okay, I will. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Do you want a motion?
Motion to table?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right. Item number 2 is tabled.
I'm sorry, Commissioners, who
That's
made the
not-
motion and who seconded?
Motion second.
Thank you.
Everyone was in favor.
Very quickly, if I may, Commissioner Edwards, I want to read to you from our guidelines about windows. Basically, what it states here is, however, if windows are damaged beyond repair, replacement windows should match the type, such as double hung, style, for example, 6 panes over 6 panes, and finish. Replacement windows on the main facade should be comprised of the operable portions of the window and match the type, style, operation, configuration, finish of the original windows. Do not use single pane picture windows or horizontal sliding windows if they are not the original window types. So we didn't include it in this staff report, but we will in the next one.
And I would say that's accurate, but in some instances, the operation, I think in this particular case, if I had to vote today, I would have said, I would have approved the windows as is, because I think we're only talking about 2 windows that are sliding horizontal, as I keep looking at what we see. And oftentimes, people don't take or make the effort that this homeowner did to try to make them look. We use the word aesthetics. I think aesthetically, they've matched it historically, but I understand, and it is in our guidelines, and we have time, and so that's why I did vote to table it. But there are some instances, and that's why you come to the HLC for us to be able to make a decision. So I do think you're making the right decision, but again, if I had to today, I would have accepted what you had. So.
Ravi, and I'm sure this is available online, but would you mind sharing with myself and my colleagues on the commission the guidelines, the digital form, so that we just have it for reference
No,
on
of
our
course.
own?
Yeah,
please?
and you're right, it is online, it's on the city's website, but I'll send you a link as well,
Thank you, ma'am.
of course.
All right. Thanks, Pro. There's also a third option, is you can get Baker Glass to come out there and take a look at it, or any other glass place. And they can patch all that stuff around it. Yeah. Yeah, it might be less expensive. All right, item number 3, 3012 San Diego. Thank you.
Okay. Item number 3 is for 3012 San Diego Avenue, zoned R3H. This is located in Manhattan Heights Historic District. It's a contributing property built in 1915, and the applicant is here to seek a certificate of appropriateness for the installation of a rock wall at the side yard. So we received this request from the customer about a week ago. Well, first of all, these are the photos that we have on file. And currently, this is what the property looks like. So this is the side where the homeowner is proposing to build a small garden wall. So she's proposing a 42-inch tall garden wall between her and the neighbor, extending all the way to the property line, to the front property line. And the existing rock wall towards the back, she wants to raise it to 6 feet. Now, the raising of the rock wall to 6 feet, we have no issue with that. All we ask is that they move that at least 1 foot behind the main facade, which would be where the entrance is. And as far as the garden wall towards the front, our guidelines are pretty clear in what they allow us to approve administratively. She can have up to 32 inches solid or 48 inches open. We explored a few of these options while she came over to our office, but she really wants to have the 42-inch solid rock wall. So that's why we're here today. The reason that this came about is that, well, unfortunately, she's having a few issues with the neighbor parking on her side of her property. So she basically just wants to put up a barrier to prevent that. And we're proposing approval with modifications based on the following. From the design guidelines, construction of new fences, stairs, or sidewalk rails, and replacement of older existing fences is allowed on historic properties, provided that the proposed site feature is of a compatible material and scale. Rock, brick, wood, and wrought iron are acceptable materials, but each case is decided individually. Cinder block and chain link fencing are relatively recent developments and are therefore not appropriate fencing materials. The height of the proposed fence should complement the structure, primarily as viewed from the street, and should not obstruct the public's view of the building. Retain fences and walls that contribute to the historic character of the property and district where possible. If replacement is necessary, replace only the deteriorated element to match the original in dimension, proportion, material, texture, and detail. Introduce new fences and walls compatible in material, design, scale, location, and size with original fences and walls in the historic district. The height of the proposed fence should complement the structure and should not obstruct the public's view of the building. Any proposed fence higher than 32 inches solid or 48 inches open measured from ground level at front property line or a side yard property line on a corner lot shall be reviewed by the HLC. Any proposed fence higher than 6 feet between buildings on an interior property line or across the rear property line shall be reviewed by HLC. And from the Secretary of Interior Standards for Rehabilitation, new additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction shall not destroy historic materials that characterize the property. The new work shall be differentiated from the old and shall be compatible with the massing, size, scale, and architectural features to protect the historic integrity of the property and its environment. And the modifications are that the side garden wall towards the front not exceed 32 inches in height, and that the 6-foot rock wall begin 1 foot behind the main facade.
Thank you, Mo. Do you have any questions for Mo? So the 32-inch one can go all the way to the sidewalk?
Yes.
Okay. And it's just on this one side?
Correct.
Okay.
Does staff have any other photos from the surrounding neighborhood with other contributing properties that may have a rock wall?
In this particular block, we did not see any. This block is also towards the end of Manhattan Heights, towards the eastern boundary. So if you can see, from our photos here, we don't really see anything like that in this area. Oops. So there is no precedent in this particular block.
Yeah. Do we have a representative or owner?
The homeowner's here. Ms. Maria Quesada. She does only speak Spanish and she's a bit hard of hearing, so commissioners might have to speak up a bit. Maria, ¿puede pasar?
Sí. Buenas tardes,
Buenas
mi
tardes.
nombre es María Elisa Quesada y ando ahora con eso de la barda, porque quiero dividir mi casa con la vecina, pero es que tengo mucho problema con la señora y por eso quiero poner mi barda, porque ya tengo muchos años ahí, como 31 que compramos la casa, pero rentaron la casa y yo hablo con la dueña y la dueña no me la pasa. Hasta empecé desde diciembre y no me la pasaron y no la pasaron, apenas me la pasaron la otra vez. Pero la señora le busca, bueno, yo pienso que ella está el porvenir de las que rentan, no de la casa mía. Es que tiene muchos árboles y divide el garage mío y el de ella. Tiene 5 árboles. Y yo hablé a la ciudad, pero dijeron que tenía que meter abogado. ¿Cómo voy a meter abogado? Es que yo no tengo tanto dinero. Yo vivo sola en la casa, por eso. Y luego dije, ¿quién me ayuda? ¿Y quién me ayuda? Y pues han andado para arriba y para abajo. Y luego mandé a los de la luz, pero no, que quieren que está hasta el alto del cielo, yo creo los árboles. Yo nomás quiero quitar las ramas de mi propiedad, la de ella no, así que se queden, que porque da sombra. Digo, pues ¿qué sombra da? Hasta me dijo la señora que me iba a demandar a la ciudad, que porque tenía muchas cosas allí y todo. Es que mi esposo va a cumplir un año que se me murió y me dejó muchas cosas allí. Y luego me dijo, pues ayer fueron y me tiraron muchas cosas de allí ya. Porque ya no quiero tener el patio tampoco, pero hay cosas como serrucho eléctricos y hay otra, quién sabe qué máquina será, pero yo no les sé esas máquinas. Y es lo que les digo, que quisiera pues que alguien la vendiera, ¿verdad? Para que sea barata, porque ¿para qué quiero todas esas máquinas allí ya? ¿Quién la va a usar? Nadie ya. Por eso. Sí, hasta me ha mandado a la policía y todo, el otro día me mandó que porque no la dejaba pasar por ahí, pues por ahí pasa, ¿por dónde va a pasar? Por eso tengo muchos problemas con esa señora. Nunca había tenido, eso es como tiene 8 años ella allí, y no sé por qué de repente. Sí, y yo ya no quiero problemas ni nada con ella ni nada. Sí, y se los agradezco y gracias.
Great, thank you. It sounds like she's having a lot of trouble.
Can you translate if I have a question?
Oh. Okay, go for it, yeah. I can understand that, I don't speak it very well.
Bueno, señora Quesada, ¿sí puede regresar porque tenemos unas cuantas preguntas, por favor? ¿Puede regresar al micrófono, por favor? Porque tenemos unas preguntas. Ay, perdón. Perdón.
Bueno.
So, estamos aquí porque esta comisión se basa en detalles históricos, ¿verdad? So, vive en una zona histórica,
Sí.
entonces hay ciertas reglas que hay que seguir, porque pues es lo que preserva la zona histórica, ¿verdad? So, aquí la pregunta que yo tengo, señora, es de la altura que tiene para la barda, ¿verdad? Tiene aquí de 42 pulgadas. ¿Por qué es que la quiere tan alto?
No, pues es que la de atrás está más alta, pero la quería más alta porque me echan basura para allá, me echan papeles, me echan todo.
¿El vecino?
Sí,
Okay.
pero ella dice que no, que es el aire. Es que
Ajá.
sabe que yo cada semana barría ese lugar, porque era mío. Pero yo veo que ahí me echan botes de cerveza y todo. Y digo, esos no son míos, porque está así, ¿verdad? Pero ellos por ahí también sacan la basura ellos. Y yo no, yo la saco por el otro lado. Es que yo, mi terreno está un cacho y otro cacho, y yo barro también el otro. Y siempre los tengo limpios. Es que a mí no me gusta estar el patio sucio ni nada. Por eso.
Sí, claro. Y creo que aquí no pienso que hay ningún problema con la barda de atrás, ¿verdad? Que va a ser de 6 pies.
No,
Aquí-
esa no.
ajá,
Es
aquí
que
lo-
sí me gusta, porque
Ajá.
sabe que es que ahorita también el problema es por eso de la pasada de los carros.
Ujú.
Porque yo sí los dejaba pasar, pero y ahora con esto, pero no digo que me le echó la policía que porque no la dejaba pasar, por ahí pasan, es que ellos tienen su pasar, pero la cerraron. Y yo no quiero problemas con ellos, porque viven como 5 personas, son 4 y el novio de la señora. Ese va los fines de semana y se queda. Pero es que yo sabe que por eso le había puesto esa paleta que sale ahí, porque ella movía la paleta y pasaba por mi lugar, hasta arriba del, donde está el Porsche, por ahí subía la nieta, y yo le dije, ¿por qué se atacan? Y yo por eso puse los carros, porque hace mucho nos dijeron que teníamos que tener cemento para los carros, porque en la tierra no tenían que estar.
Bueno, señora, nomás para regresar otra vez al tema, entiendo que estamos tratando de también resolver un programa,
Sí.
problema entre vecinos, ¿verdad? ¿Se oponería usted a una barda enfrente de 32 pulgadas en vez de 42?
Como de 32, así.
Ajá, o sea, si aprobamos y le bajamos 10 pulgadas, ¿eso estaría bien con usted? ¿O la quiere por una razón a los 42?
No, pues yo nomás quería por ese problema, no le digo nomás por la basura y todo.
Con
Es
que haya una barda.
Sí,
Okay. Do you have a
nomás por
question? You
eso,
want me-
porque no le digo que todo me echan para mi
Sí.
lugar.
Okay, so, muchas gracias,
Ah,
señora.
bueno.
Do you have a question?
Well, it was 2 clarifications. One, presumably based on the pictures, the driveway's on her side, so the wall would prevent her neighbor from using her driveway. The second thing is.
Hold on,
that-
let me do one first. So then the question
Well,
is.
There's no
will-
question, there's just a statement. And my second statement is that in addition to lowering the height from 42 to 32, the staff is recommending to move that back from the front to the second face of the frontage. So rather than being on the presumed the dash line in the drawing, it'd be moved to the front door.
So you don't have something for me to translate for her?
Well, I think maybe, I guess if you can clarify the second point, that it's the 32.
So, yo estaba preguntando aquí, mi colega quiere que clarifiquemos un punto y también estamos aquí para que nos guíen los que están presentes en la ciudad, ¿verdad? Proponen mover la barda que va a ser de 6 pies de alturas para atrás, que comience atrás de donde se termina su casa.
Ya, sí.
Ajá, so la parte más alta va a ser en la parte de atrás de la
Sí.
casa para que no se vea tan alto enfrente. Entonces la parte de enfrente, ¿sí me entiende?
Sí.
And is that correct, Steph? Right? Okay. Entonces, la siguiente pregunta es, ellos proponen una barda de 32 pulgadas, ¿verdad? Y usted aquí en su aplicación está pidiendo de 42, pero eso es de la parte de enfrente. ¿Is that correct? Sí, sí. Entonces, la pregunta es, señora, ¿estaría bien usted con una barda de 32 pulgadas? O regresamos otra vez a la pregunta, o por alguna razón la quiere a los 42.
Por eso la quiero, no le digo por los vecinos. Es que no respetan el lugar mío. Ellos en vez se pasan por allí. Nomás no estoy yo y pasan por allí.
Sí, no estamos diciendo que no vaya a haber una barda, nomás estábamos hablando sobre la altura de la barda. So, ¿cuánto quiere esas 10 pulgadas, señora?
¿Mande?
Esas 10 pulgadas que estamos hablando. So, ¿estamos hablando de una barda de 32 pulgadas o una barda de 42 pulgadas?
Está mejor a 42, ¿no? ¿O no?
Can I add a clarification? Can
Go
we go to
ahead.
the picture? So her application's for 6 feet up until the front of the house.
Right, but then it goes to 42. So she understands that
Okay.
the recommendation is that the 6 feet section begin behind the house. So my question to her now is like, are you okay? But the staff's recommendation is a 32, height of 32. So my question is, like, how important are those 10 inches that we're talking about, right? Like that difference, like, does she want it at the higher elevation for, her own reasons? Or is she okay with the lower wall? That's
Yeah.
my question.
Yeah, and I feel like, in the statement, in the introduction, it was about the drive, having her neighbor from parking at her side,
Mhm.
which either height would function prevent her neighbor from parking.
Right.
Now, there's mention about trash being thrown, and presumably the 6-foot would prevent that. I think that's kind of her position, just as a statement.
I have a
Do you want me
different
to-
question.
Do you want me to translate that statement, or do you want to
No,
let her
I
know?
don't think so.
Because I do think that, okay, I think that we're having a conversation and she doesn't understand, right? So I would want to be as transparent as possible.
Yeah, my main thing is a lot of these houses share a driveway. And it looks like this one's one of those. And we're
Mhm.
essentially building a wall down the middle
Well,
of
can I go to the picture?
the driveway.
But that is the issue, right? The fact
Yeah.
that it's a shared driveway.
Yeah,
But it looks like it's on her side of the fence.
but I mean, there's garages on the both sides, on the ends.
So is this drawing of the site, or is it just a boilerplate drawing?
Yeah, so for clarification, this drawing is a typical drawing that they give to customers when they're requesting a rock wall.
Right.
This is from the one-stop shop. This is just an example. So it's not the same footprint of the existing home. However, it does kind of follow what she has, in that she has that section of the house that's sort of behind the front.
Yeah, and it seems like the neighbors don't have a driveway.
Yeah. I just wonder if it sets a precedent of all these people in Manhattan Heights putting walls down the middle of their driveways, because I know the people across from us, where I live, share a driveway, and the next one shares a driveway, and so on and so forth.
And that is the case for many homes in these historic districts, as you all know. However, as far as the legality of the city goes, I mean, she is well within her rights to put a rock wall within her property.
I don't necessarily have the issue with the wall being on her property, because there seems to be a very, problematic situation, which I think can be difficult for the parties living at both these properties. So I understand her need to want to mitigate it somehow. For me, the question is just to make sure that the applicant understands what staff's recommendation is, right? That staff is saying, let's push the 6-foot section of the wall back to behind where the house begins in the backyard, and the 32-inch versus the 42-inch. So I don't know, Rovi and Mo, if y'all have had those conversations?
I have not had this conversation with the property owner. Just to clarify, the 6 feet can start 1 foot behind the main facade. That's why you see it there. Yeah, that's where the 6 feet begins. And the 42 inches, like you said, is just 10 inches more than we can approve administratively. I think we also propose 32 inches solid, and the rest, the other 16 inches or so, could be metal picket, which a lot of people do, and we've seen the guidelines, but I don't think that's what she wants. It might be more of an expense as well. So we're really here because of 10 inches that she wants to add that we can't approve administratively.
And my question to her was just like,
Do you need those 10 inches?
those 10 inches are super important for whatever reason, right?
Right.
And really like, I was kind of looking for like a yes or no.
Okay.
Ok, señora, so lo que estamos hablando nomás de los detalles en la aplicación y tratando de entender específicamente lo que nos está pidiendo, ¿verdad? Porque hay cierto criterio que se usa en las zonas históricas, pero hay en veces que esta comisión puede aprobar unas excepciones, ¿verdad? Entonces, perdón, traducí mal. La parte que va a ser de 6 pies de la barda
Sí.
puede comenzar atrás de la parte de enfrente
Ah, sí.
de la casa, ¿verdad? Lo que se llama el facade, ¿verdad? Por decir la cara de la casa. Entonces, so estamos bien con eso, ¿verdad? Que ahí comience en donde está la liñita en lo amarillo,
Sí,
que ahí comience la barda de 6 pies. ¿Está bien con eso, señora? ¿Sí? Entonces, la pregunta es que la barda que se va a extender hasta enfrente, hasta la banqueta, que sea usted propone 42 pies, ¿verdad? Y aquí la ciudad está proponiendo 32 pies. So, mi pregunta es, y me puede decir sí o no, me puede decir el por qué si gusta, esas 10 pulgadas, ¿es algo importante para usted o estaría bien con una barda un poquito más cortita?
Pues yo decía que estaba mejor, más poquito más grande, porque le digo que no respeta nada. Yo ya hablé con la dueña y todo, pero la dueña no se pone aparte mía, se pone aparte de ella. Cuando fue a la ciudad dijo que era un árbol, y luego le dije, oiga, que no ve bien, son 5 árboles los que están allí, pero no hacen sombra porque están en medio de los 2 garajes. Bueno, ahora yo creo que era como dicen que son de los carros, ¿verdad? Pero es donde tenía mi esposo cosas. Y allí, y en el de ella también. Así que están en medio de los árboles.
Ok, entonces sí prefiere la barda de los 42 pulgadas.
Sí.
Okay, so she
Ay,
wants
por favor, si me hacen el favor.
She's asking for the taller wall.
What's the reasoning, though?
So she is saying that it's because it'll mitigate the trouble that she is having with them. And she is saying that the neighbors don't respect, her line of the property. And she's not able, she's tried contacting the owner, which I guess this house is being rented, and that she hasn't been able to communicate with the owner or reach some sort of agreement, and that they're just not respecting her property, and she feels like the taller wall will help with preventing like the throwing of trash and the lack of respect for her property.
So this is about 32 inches right here, 42 inches. Is that?
So, señora, aquí lo que nos está enseñando nuestro colega, el tamaño, ¿verdad? So, el de abajo van a ser como las 32 pulgadas y el de arriba va a ser como las 42.
Ya, bueno.
So,
Sí, es que no
es
me
la
quiere ver
diferencia.
ella, ni yo tampoco.
¿Mande?
¿Para qué queremos problemas así?
Commissioners, I just wanted to let you know that we did speak to
Es
her
que
at the
la otra vez
beginning.
también llegó y me regañó porque yo andaba regando el patio, porque hay mucha tierra, ¿verdad? Y lo andaba regando y fue y me regañó que porque le estaba bañando la perra. Le dije, ¿sabe qué? A su perra yo la hago de menos, ¿verdad? Porque la perra se quiere brincar al lado mío y el perro, pues también. Dije, no, porque la perra le empieza a ladrar y el perro como que no quiere, pues ahí va también.
Okay, muchas gracias por esa información adicional. So she's also saying there's a dog problem
Sí.
of the dog coming across. But, Provi, I'm sorry, did you? Or Mo?
Yeah, so, pues, en español. Cuando llegó a nuestra oficina, sí le hice la propuesta de los 32 pulgadas de altura sólido y lo que sobre de metal. Habló con su hijo, ¿verdad? O con sus hijos. Y
Mis hijos ni caso me hacen.
no, pues no es algo que quiere ella poner. Prefiere lo sencillo, la pura pared de piedra.
Sí, yo les dije que de piedra, porque yo quería de bloc, pero ya ve que ahí no se puede de bloc. Y le dije que no le hace, que fuera de piedra, no le hace. Sí. Nomás lo que no quiero es ese problema ya.
Muchas gracias, señora.
Ándale,
Se puede
gracias a
sentar.
ustedes.
Ujú.
Y ahí disculpen.
Vamos a seguir nosotros el diálogo, pero ya se puede sentar. Muchas
Ándale,
gracias.
pues, gracias, gracias. Que pase buen día.
I'm still concerned about the shared driveway, because I know if my neighbors did that, like, there would be a big deal. I don't know what their legal recourse is, or, because there's like room for one car to get back there, and then they split to the garages and a bunch of these. And it's like, if you built a wall down the middle,
Couldn't even get there?
couldn't get there, so.
Right, but would it be an overreach for us to?
I don't know, because it's like.
Unless they have a
What's-
access agreement on the plat.
Yeah.
There's really no.
What's the legality of that? Like, there's a shared driveway, and then, but the property line is straight down the center. But I mean, it's unspoken that it's shared, right?
Property line straight down the center, build on the property line, I'm not sure though.
Yeah. I just-
So if we were, I'm sorry, if we were to approve that, would then planning take up that issue that we're bringing up?
Is there even?
Right, like, so that wouldn't be something we have to solve right now, like we could, okay.
Right. Yeah, essentially, if she wants to build the rock wall on, like, right, if she were to follow the existing rock wall towards the rear of the property, that one is likely half on her property and the other half on the other neighbor's property. So in those cases, at the one-stop shop, you're required to bring approval from your neighbor saying that you have their okay to raise the rock wall. In her case, I think she's proposing to put it completely inside her property without having to request the neighbor's, approval.
Right, and given their situation, that's
Yeah,
That's
that would probably be a moot point.
Yeah. So then, if it was on her side of the property, it may not affect the access of the other one. And one of the things that she did mention was access to the garage, at least for her. She says she doesn't park her car there. That was where her husband kept his tools, and it was like his little area.
Yeah, I just wonder if it affects their access to their garage.
The other issue that I haven't measured it, physically, but it does look like the existing driveway wouldn't meet today's standards. It doesn't have the required radii that driveways are supposed to have, and I don't think it's the minimum 12-foot width. So this might be a different issue that might have to be addressed later. But yeah, I mean, as far as, if it wasn't historic, she would have already gotten her approval. But of course, since we have this added layer, we just want to make sure that, we're not creating a precedent.
Yeah, my concern is other people coming in who are currently sharing, and then let's say the house sells and someone decides to build a wall on their side, but now the other person can no longer access their driveway. That's, I don't know, it seems unfair.
But there isn't a driveway. Our neighbor doesn't
Yeah,
have a
there
driveway.
isn't in this particular case,
It's
but
just a dirt
there-
front yard.
there's two garages at the back, so I think maybe at some point there was a driveway, dirt or not.
Okay. But I think bringing up that issue would be a little, in my opinion, overreach beyond what
Yeah,
the staff was recommending.
it's just, it's kind of unique to the historic district.
I know there was a case, this was several years ago, same exact issue. It was also a shared driveway. And I believe commissioners at that point did allow a small rock wall. I think
Yeah.
it was 20 inches maximum. I don't recall off the top of my head, but that's the only other instance that I can think of.
And I think based on that and you standing up and showing the difference between that, I mean, I would definitely stick with staff's recommendations of the 32.
Yeah, I just felt like the reasoning was kind of shifting. Putting a rock, whether it's 6 inches, 10 inches, whatever, would do the job of not allowing the neighbor parking on her side. But it shifted from trash to views to dogs, so.
And I understood that, but I still think 32 would suffice.
No,
mean,
and I agree.
If you have a big dog that's going to get over 32, that dog's getting over 42.
Yeah.
I mean, El Paso winds blowing trash over your house.
There is no fencing on either side, so the dog, yeah, it'll get in there.
But staff is also giving them an option if they wanted to add something to it, like,
Yeah.
ironwork or something like that, to extend it, which then is definitely an option.
So, yeah, I'm inclined to agree with staff's recommendation.
I'm just worried that someone
Like,
else is gonna
yeah.
come and wanna build it, and then it's gonna be a
Are
big
there-
trouble.
Yeah, are there other, not on this block, because we've established that, right? But are there other examples of rock walls in Manhattan Heights?
You mean in a shared driveway? I can't think of rock walls in between a shared driveway, and I've seen quite a few in Manhattan Heights. They always tend to have a steep incline as well. They really are very hard to subdivide, very, very hard. We did have an applicant come in a few years ago, and yeah, he was having a dispute with his neighbor, and the insurance company said, well, you've got to basically, put in a fence. He put in a chain link fence without telling us, And then we found out later he couldn't get anything approved there because the driveway just wasn't wide enough. So maybe we need a little more information on this to see if that can be accommodated.
Well, I mean, that's where it comes to the, reading the plat. If the plat has, on her side, has an access easement, then the neighbor is entitled to using her driveway. But if it's not, if that dash line doesn't exist on her plat, then I believe she has every right to know the law.
IT, if you could put the image back on the screen from the presentation, thank you.
Oh, there's the actual survey. Can we zoom into it?
I don't think we can, but just note that the street is at the top of the property, yeah.
Do you have a copy of it?
As a matter of fact, looking at the plat, it looks like the existing rock wall is completely inside her property line.
Yeah, and based off the image, it looks like it's, the driveway's on her side, completely.
Yes.
All right then.
And would, so would this may not change anything, but would a compromise of only doing the 6-foot wall behind the facade help like a little bit? I don't know that it will address her issue.
You're still gonna park
And
there.
that is something that we can approve administratively as well. So, yeah, mainly she is here for the garden wall towards the front.
All right, well. Sometimes neighbors are just horrible. Any other comments?
No, I mean, this commission is allowed to table it if they want and get more from it, they certainly can, but if they're not, I'm going to make a motion to approve staff's recommendation.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right. Motion to accept staff's recommendation passes. All right, item number, oh, someone want to explain that to her?
Mo will take care of that. So,
All right, we'll go on to item number 4. Are there any addresses that you all want to have staff review or investigate? No, okay. Item number 5, the consent agenda. Move to accept the consent agenda.
Except I don't see the staff report in our packet.
give me just a moment.
What's happening here? It's anarchy.
You're right, Commissioner, that is missing. My apologies. So why don't we table that for the next meeting?
Okay, so I'll move to approve the minutes of June 5th.
Okay. And table the staff report. You have a second?
I can't, I wasn't here.
Oh, I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Abstain.
opposed? Any abstained?
Abstain.
All right, 2. I don't know, does that pass then?
Yeah, we
Sure.
weren't no's, we were abstentions. Yeah.
All right.
We're okay, right?
What's that?
So we're okay with the two of us that were here to approve the last week's minutes, okay, and 2 abstentions?
Okay.
I would say you could have watched them online and concurred with the minutes.
All right, any comments or anything else before we close?
Yes, actually, 2 things very quickly. The first is, if you have not submitted your financial disclosure form, please do so before Monday. Since we started the meeting, I've gotten 2 emails saying, please make sure the commissioners do that, because if you don't, they won't let you back. So,
I
yeah.
already did it wrong and then did it right.
Oh, cool, thank you, but you did it.
I did it this week.
Thank
I
you.
didn't get a response,
Okay.
other than it was submitted.
Thank you, thank you. And of course, secondly, we have to say goodbye to Stefan, which is really sad.
I thought he already left. This is everybody.
So I brought gummy bears.
Oh,
It's important because they're my favorite thing.
Oh, wow. It's very historic.
They're historic, right? Taste of Germany, too.
Yeah.
no, thank you. Thank you.
It's a sweet ending.
And I mean, I'll disclose that, you guys have been cool. I've been a little different. I'm not an architect, I'm not an engineer, and I've always been kind of part of this, but I have lived in Sunset Heights. And I know the person that's going to replace me, Cinco Negron, is a gentleman that he and I kind of been at odds for a while. He has from a professional standpoint, he works with the county as the chief of staff of David South. And he's also the head of SHIA, which is the Sunset Heights Neighborhood Improvement Association. When we moved to Sunset Heights, I loved the historic neighborhood. We would try to go to these meetings and were often met with resistance. And we found other families throughout the neighborhood over time who said the same thing. So we had to start our own neighborhood association called Friends of Sunset Heights. We also learned things like they're not underwritten or anything. So these tour of homes that we were going on, if you ever went on one and you tripped in that house, you could have sued that homeowner. And so we're trying to, we have established already a 501c3, and my point is it's caused a lot of friction between, your mom's a part of that.
Yeah.
She has vowed now to leave Shania, and so it was very frustrating.
You're going to stay out of it, right?
They need allegiance.
Out of it.
It was very frustrating to me when I heard that, but, and I wish everybody was here because this is a wonderful group, and you guys have done a great job of managing this HLC and supporting staff. And all I'm saying is when you start to see a no vote coming from this chair, I've given you some foundation as to where it's coming from, and you all are a large group that can manage what needs to be managed. And so, I'm not pulling as much as on that one, you know my group. So, but I appreciate you all, and this has been an awesome time. So,
Well, thank you. I can't say that enough. Yes, you can take your nameplate. You can definitely take your nameplate.
There's another
there's a
nameplate
brown one there
underneath.
too, Stefan. Take them both. You've earned it. Take them both. No, but thank you, Stefan. You have been such a great contribution. We loved having you. If you ever want to come back, just let us know. We'd love to have you.
you're gonna hear more from me on 311 now. I
Okay.
guess, is what I'm gonna do.
Oh, you're going full Karen? You're going Karen? All right.
No, thank you, Stefan, really. We're going to miss
Thank
you. I wish you the best, Stefan. Wish you the absolute best. If there's anything we can do to help you, just let us know, okay?
You know, that's a very good question. We have talked about at the Friends of Sunset Heights, how to incorporate the HPO, not the HLC necessarily, but the HPO and things we want to do. I mean, there's parking, limits that are trying to be lifted, and I mean, all sorts of things that may play into what you all do as well. She dropped something. So, you got it, absolutely.
All right, well,
I will quickly say that Provi came and gave the County Historical Commission a amazing presentation. So, I mean, she's a fabulous guest speaker. And I think your neighborhood has a lot to do with, like you said, this office.
Yeah. We have plenty of people in that group that would love to come and speak. It wouldn't be me, I would assign somebody else, but yeah. But we would love to have you. I think we should do that, absolutely.
You just let me know. I'll be there.
Our agenda items are usually less political in nature. We don't talk about the Bridge of the Americas, we don't talk about I-10 expansion, we don't talk about the deck park. We talk about improvements to the neighborhood.
Yeah, I can be there then, yeah.
all right. With that, do we want to move to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. All right. Thank you.